Oh, fuck. I like this. Ooh, I like this a lot. What a banger episode, dude. The last episode sucked in my opinion, but this one, damn, dude, we jumped back heavily. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Fonrath, and welcome back to Monster. We are going to watch episode 28. Previously on episode 27, finally essentially Carl went to Johan, told him of some bullshit, and then Johan was like, dude, I'm gonna do it for you. I'm gonna tell Schubert that you're his son. And then they had this moment where they're like, oh my god, you're my father, oh my god, you're my son. And then they ran at each other and they cried, even though only one of them ran because the other one is in a wheelchair. But, you know, you get my point, right? Now that episode, as I said during the episode, I didn't really agree with how it went. I thought it was kind of stupid. Like Carl and his father, biological father, they don't really have any kind of relationship. So it's, I don't know, all of a sudden them starting to cry and being like, oh my god, I missed you, and oh my god, I put you through so much. I'm so sorry. Let's hug it out. Like, what? Where is this coming from? Right? You don't just start crying and hugging some random stranger. It doesn't matter if you're biologically related to them, right? If I found out that I was adopted and I had a biological parent somewhere or whatnot, right? Maybe they came to see me. I'd be like, okay, sure, okay, you're my biological parent. Okay, and? Do you want something? If you don't want something, the door is over there. They're still a stranger. It doesn't matter if you're related to them. You know, that's why, to me, it just didn't work. Not really. I guess we'll see where this goes in episode 28, which we will now start watching.
That's good enough? When you say that, just what exactly do you mean, Mr. Schubert?
I've decided that I've learned enough. I am calling off the investigation.
But sir, we had a breakthrough, and I'm close to another. I checked out Carl Neumann, and one thing's certain, that boy's your real son.
I'm quite grateful to you for all you've done.
Now hold on, there's still more to be done. There's still the Edmund issue to figure out. Edmund pretended to be your son, but some evidence I uncovered seems to indicate that he didn't really commit suicide. If that's really the case, someone else is pulling the strings and may have killed Farin.
It has been solved to my satisfaction.
Ooh. I wonder if he knows that Johan was the one. Maybe, oh my god, dude. I'm thinking of like an insane theory right now. What if, oh my god. What if Johan and Schultz have known each other for a long time? And that's how he kept his, that's how he kept getting his fortune back every time he got bankrupt. Right, Johan would come, help him out with something. Johan leaves, and then he goes bankrupt again. Johan comes back, helps him get his fortune back, so on and so forth, right? And it could be that Johan, or he knows that Johan killed the guy as well. Oh my god,
Father,
this could
I
be
made some tea.
this
Would you care for
could
some?
go much deeper.
Yes, I would.
Oh, good afternoon, Detective.
Once again, good work. Just send me your bill. Good day.
It sure looks nice outside.
It does.
Oh, and Johan's come as well.
What a surprise. So Johan's decided to visit.
Schubert had always been known as a distrustful man with a sour disposition. Who would have thought that he'd turn into such a good-natured soul when he found his son?
What's Richard gonna do now, though?
So,
Just
you're trying
one
to track
case.
down this puppy, eh?
What a job. My client told me her ex-husband basically dog-napped the little fella.
I think I'll have some wine, if that's quite all right with you. I'm glad to hear you say that. I know work's scarce at the moment, but it's a good choice on your part not to cloud your life with alcohol.
Wait, you're telling me that this doctor, this psychiatrist or whatever, or a therapist or whoever it is, right? They go out to a dinner or something, right? And he knows that this guy is going to therapy, and he knows that he has a problem with alcohol, and he the doctor orders alcohol? Are you... What? Huh? That's not real, right? Like, I mean, I don't think a single doctor in the entire world, well, maybe not the entire world, but like, I don't think a legitimate doctor would ever do that. Like, ever. Even I wouldn't do that. Well, actually I would, but, because I wouldn't give a shit. But, if I was a doctor, like, no way in hell. If I know a patient of mine that I'm going to dinner with had a problem with alcohol addiction, I would never order alcohol. That's like, huh? You're supposed to be helping them move on from alcohol, but whatever.
Are you saying there's something else in your life that's bothering you?
Well, I find that with all the free time I have now, I end up rehashing things a lot.
Such as?
I spend hours and hours poring over this personal notebook I have of unsolved crimes. Cases I never solved as a detective. I feel frustrated. There were so many murder cases I wasn't able to solve. It haunts me to think of those vicious killers still out there walking around in our world.
You got frustrated that you couldn't read these murderers' minds, and that caused you pain.
So I turned to alcohol?
Sure, of course you did.
Gentlemen, dinner is served.
Oh, good, it's time to eat. Actually, I think it would be in your best interest for you to keep trying. I would encourage you to keep looking at your old police notebook.
But why? I'll just become angry again.
Stop thinking that way. You have to analyze what you did in the past in a new light. Your mind is clearer now. That should help. You're still haunted by that boy. You see him in your mind every day, don't you?
Yeah.
When you brought everything to light, all those things festering under the surface, that boy's ghost will finally move on.
Interesting.
Then there were those two Voice of God cases. The victims were a former housekeeper and a chauffeur. What connected those two killings was that the words "I have heard the voice of God" were left scrawled on a wall at both crime scenes. The Doorknock Company president case. Lothar Gauck was one of the wealthiest businessmen in Bavaria, and his body was discovered in the Hartholz forest. And then there's the Spira couple case. Both were forcibly drowned and their bodies washed up along the Isar River later on. This one's still being investigated as one of a string of murders involving middle-aged couples. A material witness in that case disappeared, a Japanese doctor who's still on the run. Hold on a second. Come on, think. Think hard, Richard.
Okay, so he does have like PTSD or something. Although the clothing that apparition in the window wore seemed eerily similar to Johan's suit. I'm just saying. Though it could be just my imagination, just like this guy's imagining someone trying to shoot him.
What was it that I realized? An idea flashed through my mind. It felt like it was a key to solving one of those cases.
I'm sorry. It's the type of thing where it's like this scene, this little turnaround thing, without that sound effect. I suppose with that sound effect, it almost seems like, you know, with some of those, I don't know if you guys have seen some YouTube videos of like people who do skits about stuff like this, where, you know, they talk about like, oh, when you start hearing boss music, right? It's kind of like that, where you're just walking on the street in the dark, and then you hear. Obviously, you'd be like, uh-oh, someone's watching me, or someone's approaching me from behind or something. You're gonna turn around and look, oh my god, what was that? I just imagine that, you know, this guy walking alone in the dark and, during the night, and then he hears that sound effect and is like, oh shit.
Just my imagination.
Must have been the wind.
Who's there? Show yourself! Whoever you are, I'll...
Okay, on one hand, he might just have, you know, PTSD or whatever the fuck, right? But every time something weird is going on, I always think, is Johan involved? But in this case, I mean, how would Johan be involved? There's no way, right? And this is kind of what I'm hoping, is that when this guy eventually figures something out, unless he makes a very critical mistake, like going to shoe vaults and telling people of his suspicions, I'm hoping that Johan doesn't just automatically somehow magically find out, right? I get he has very good, a very large, like, information network, probably, but I'm hoping that he just doesn't magically find out the second this guy figures something out.
This is like that time way back. I was running after that punk just like this. I chased him down an alley.
You know, actually, I didn't think about this before, but like, you're telling me this guy's 16 years old? You're telling me this guy is 16 years old? 16, by the way. They said that the kid was 16 years old, who was a suspected murderer. And then he was drunk and he killed him. This guy's 16 years old. Sure, bro. I think you forgot a 0.
Sorry for coming here so late at night, Doc.
Nonsense. If you think you've figured things out and you're ready to share them, go ahead then. Tell me everything.
It just came to me.
Hmm?
That idea that had flashed through my mind before. All those unsolved cases I had been working to solve separately, I realized they are actually one single case.
Huh? Greetings, my dear Dr. Gillen. I'm writing to thank you for sending me a copy of your recently published book, Transcendental Criminal Psychology. I found your book informative and a very interesting read, and it pleases me to see that a student of mine from Dusseldorf University has now become a leading authority in the field of criminal psychology. Now I have a question for you regarding another matter. You told me in a phone conversation that you conducted a lengthy interview with the serial murderer Peter Jurgens. After you spoke with him, you told me that Jurgens claimed that a friend of his had encouraged him to murder the victims.
Oh.
Sadly, my memory...
Okay, this is kind of actually, this is cool, okay? What I'm actually hoping is going to happen, because, you know, it's kind of a little bit annoying, well, maybe not annoying, but like a little bit disappointing when Johan always gets to everyone, right? Like, it's cool that, you know, he's like a very in control villain and, like, you know, manipulates everyone and whatnot, right? But like, it's kind of annoying that like, he gets to everyone, right? Someone finds something out or figures something out, and then immediately they're just killed. And that's what I was saying, that I'm hoping that Johan doesn't just magically know that someone figured out something about him. Now we're kind of going down this line where this doctor now is writing to that other doctor, criminal psychiatrist or whatever, who also had, you know, figured out something about Johan and actually believes Johan exists. And now this doctor also has some information about Johan potentially, right? So I'm kind of liking that there are other people who are figuring out something collectively, and there are actually, like, other people in the story as well, not just Tenma and Johan.
Isn't what it used to be, so could you please tell me again, what was the name of Jurgens' friend whom he said told him to kill? I'd appreciate that information, as it may aid an associate of mine. You often competed with him for the best marks. He graduated and became a neurosurgeon. At any rate, it seems that he's become a suspect in a multiple homicide case. With your expertise, I'm hoping you could help me get a better picture of who he is. Please tell me everything you might know about him. What kind of person is he? And where do you think he might be right now, this Dr. Tenma?
That's a very good
You're a
question.
detective.
You worked as Mr. Gauk's chief business liaison and personal secretary. I ask you once again, did anyone hold a grudge against him?
In business, Mr. Gauk was such a fierce adversary that he personally forced some of our competition to go bankrupt.
But there was another powerful and well-known businessman in Bavaria, wasn't there? How did Mr. Gauk feel about him?
I take it you mean Mr. Schuvald? They knew each other very well.
So what you're saying is that Mr. Gauk was consciously trying to crush him.
Mr. Schuvald made certain we suffered serious losses too.
So then they both hated each other?
Of course. A few times they happened to be at the same party, and if looks could kill, they both would have been dead. Only those two tycoons could talk to each other on the same level. I never felt like they were enemies. This may sound weird, but they were really more like friends.
Huh? Hey, careful up there! Careful up there! Careful up there!
Like that, right? I'm hoping that's not just some... I'm hoping that's not Johan. Like, I'm hoping that was just an accident. Right? Because, you know, as good as Johan is, I just don't see him being, like, all-knowing all the time. Right? It's one thing if Richard here goes around telling everyone that, oh, these cases are connected, yes, this and that and this and that, right? But he only told the old doctor. Now, yes, it is possible that the old doctor is also, you know, working for Johan, but what are the odds, right? I mean, come on.
But whenever I think of my dear husband, I just can't understand why such a kind and wonderful man ended up being murdered. It's unfair.
Pardon my asking, but I believe your husband grew up as an...
Orphan? Yes, he lived in an orphanage till he was 6, then with different foster families until he was 18. After that, he became an accountant.
Is it true Mr. Schuvald, the business tycoon, asked your husband to be his corporate accountant?
He did, many times, but my husband always turned him down.
Again, thank you so much. I appreciate the help.
I wonder if this is going to lead to another...
Oh,
if this is going to lead to another line of investigation that leads to Johan. Or like, if this leads to something like, let's say, oh, this business rival was killed, and then Schuvald, I'm not sure which one anymore, and he benefited from that, right? And it becomes a kind of a question of, did Schuvald like have him killed? Then my theory of Johan helping Schuvald many years ago when he went bankrupt and then helped him out to regain his fortune. I mean, it's almost like I'm right.
one more thing.
Yes?
I forgot to ask you if you knew how your husband and Mr. Schuvald first met each other.
Oh, that. It seems they met in the forest.
The forest?
Yes, they met in the forest back when Mr. Schuvald could still see. It was a total coincidence.
What were they doing in a place like that?
They were both there bird watching. After they met, they went to the forest together all the time.
Are we talking about that place where Carl and them took Schuvald's like 2 episodes ago? That area that was now like renovated, reconstructed, reworked. Although I will say, Richard here is asking too many questions. Too many questions.
Watching. More like a happy kid. Read poetry to Mr. Schuvald? More like friends?
Hey, buddy, you okay?
Yeah. I'm fine, thanks.
That guy was driving like an idiot.
From what I saw, it looked more like he was trying to run you over. Man, what a creep.
This is what I'm saying. I mean, I think either it's a red herring where we're led to believe something, but it isn't the case. Like these could just be accidents, coincidences, or It is the fact that Johan already knows that he's getting too close trying to get rid of him. But like, how would Johan already know? He doesn't even know yet. But I suppose the idea is that this guy is getting a little too close.
Direct Vine. I've re-examined all the evidence, and what I found out supports what I told you before.
If I was this guy, okay, bear in mind, I'm investigating something that I suspect is a massive, massive case, right? I'm asking around, I'm asking questions of people who were involved, and all of a sudden, that's twice that I almost died. It happens once, shame on me, right? Happens twice, that's fucking attempted murder, probably, maybe. But my point is, once it happens twice that I almost died in a very quick succession, then I'd be like, shit. The first one was, okay, someone might have accidentally dropped the fucking beam on me, or almost on me, but it didn't hit me. But the second one, the car almost ran him over. That's actively someone is actively driving a car in my direction. Now I'd be like, huh, interesting. Essentially what I would do is I would create fail-safes. So I would do two things. One, I would tell this guy, and maybe someone else, I would tell this guy that if I happen to die anytime soon, and it's like an accident or something like that, or I happen to die overall, then it's most likely that whoever is behind all these whoever is the mastermind behind all these cases did it to me because they found out that I'm asking questions. Essentially, that's what I would tell this guy. And then number two, the second thing I would do, I would somehow try to create some sort of failsafe and tell people about it. So information would spread to the mastermind that if he dies, kind of like what L did in Death Note, right? Essentially, L went to the suspect and said, "Hey, I've told other people that if I happen to die in the next few days, to suspect you, that you are the murderer." Kind of like that. You gotta try to ensure your own survival by telling your enemy that, hey, if I die, then it's gonna cause more problems for you. Like maybe I would come up with some sort of storyline like, I've told many different police officers and detectives all around in many locations that if I happen to die anytime soon, that the case that I was investigating, whoever is behind it was probably also behind my murder or my death. You gotta hit back in the fight, I guess.
Cases that I wasn't able to solve all point to one killer having just one motive. They're all extremely different. The methods in which they were committed, for example. And the victims weren't related to each other. None of them even knew each other. However, I have discovered that all of them shared one common bond. There was a man who connected all the victims. And because they knew him, they were all murdered. Every one of them was killed to further isolate Mr. Schuvald. There's also another connection in these cases that's rather curious. In the Dornach Company president case, his secretary said there was a certain young man who was supposed to meet with Mr. Gauck right before he was murdered. And in the Voice of God cases, under I have heard the voice of God, this name was scrawled there by the murderer. And then there's the Spira couple murder case. Since both of them drowned, that case seemed to be unrelated to the others. But the name of the killer given by the Japanese doctor who was the only witness in that case was the same. It was the same name in every case.
Johan. I've been in touch with a former student of mine who's now a renowned criminal psychologist. He interviewed a murderer who claimed he committed his crimes on his friend's orders. In here he wrote that friend's name. And the name that's in this letter is Johan. Johan is a common name, but based on what you found, it's also possible that all these cases could be related. If by chance your findings are true, this Johan has been systematically murdering people for the past 4 years.
And bear in mind, Richard was there when Schubert was like, "Oh, Johan's also joining us. Great!" He just doesn't remember at the moment. I'm sure he will.
Margot Langer, the woman who bore Schuvald's son, conveniently died as well.
And there was that young student who was pretending to be Shuval's son. He conveniently killed himself as soon as he made his claim. Johan really does exist. I wonder where he is right now. Perhaps he's close.
What a surprise. So Johan's decided to visit. Ah, Johan. The weather's so beautiful.
Yes, isn't it, sir?
Johan's there. He's right next to Shuvald.
Oh, fuck. I like this. Ooh, I like this a lot. What a banger episode, dude. Last episode sucked in my opinion, but this one, damn, dude, we jumped back heavily. The only thing I'm just hoping now is that this kind of snowballs a little bit more, right? I don't want Johan to immediately send his mercenary dogs to immediately kill both Richard and the older doctor. I don't want that. I like the cat and mouse chase and the investigation, and like the characters are all alive, but they're slowly like trying to figure each other out, right? I like that. I don't really like that every character that figures something out is immediately just killed before they can say anything. Like, we've kind of been doing that already a lot. So it's kind of nice now that that's two more characters that at least kind of suspect Johan exists. But again, considering it's Johan, I wouldn't be surprised if they just end up they end up dying in the next episode. Pretty much everyone. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, oh, they find out that the friend criminal psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever who also knew of Johan turns up dead, and then they also end up getting killed. I'm just hoping that now we have a couple of more characters who are at least aware of Johan, right? Who are at least kind of suspicious of Johan. Even if they don't have full proof or anything, maybe they just have some suspicions. I'm just glad, I'm hoping that these characters will remain alive. But I guess we'll see. I mean, that's about it. The entire episode was basically just Richard here going around investigating. We see him having some PTSD. We still don't really know if, maybe Johan was trying to manipulate him somehow, do something somehow. I don't know. Maybe Johan's idea is to, he knows about the PTSD, so he's kind of flaring it up by doing these kind of appear and run tactics, right? Make him freak out a little. Oh, but there's no one there, right? It's just an illusion, right? And then a couple of days later, he almost dies with a beam, right? When he calls out, no one's there, right? After that, he almost dies with when a car almost hits him, when a truck almost hits him. It's kind of like making him suspicious that someone's trying to kill him. The thing is, if Johan really was trying to kill him, I don't think he would be alive now. So I think the idea is to have a bunch of near misses. Because I don't think, if Johan was behind dropping this this steel beam on his head, I don't think Johan would go and do it like this. I think if Johan wanted to kill someone, he would 100% do something that is 100%, right? I don't think he would take risks that aren't sure things. If he's trying to kill someone, he would 100% do something that is 100% going to kill him and not just be a risk that might work, might not work. So I think that these near misses are actually planned or something. Johan might convince someone to, hey, drive your car at this guy, right? Now, if this guy gets injured, gets hospitalized, he's out of the way. Okay, that's good. If he doesn't, then it still works in his favor with making him think that someone's out to get him. But still, like, I don't know. Maybe Johan is trying to work his PTSD. Maybe he's not. Maybe I'm reading too deep into this, but I guess we'll see in the next episode. We'll see if these two live to survive another day. In any case, I hope you enjoyed episode 28 of The Monster, and I'll see you next time.